Okay, so let's have a look at our agenda today. Let's have I started by introducing IELTTA as an international academy for teacher training and language learning. It's on its first phase, which is online, working online right now. I'm not working alone, but I have other colleagues who are willing to help teachers and guide them through their journey of professional development. Most of my colleagues are DELTA qualified or have experience with Cambridge courses, right? Then we'll go to TKT Overview. Let me share my screen to have an idea about our agenda. Can you see the screen? Okay, after that, we will talk about why TKT is important. We will talk about the relationship between TKT and other TEFL courses. So we'll talk about the TKT and the CELTA, the TKT and the DELTA, the TKT and other TEFL certificates, and our colleague mentioned that one of the requirements for her to pass CELTA S course with Cambridge is to do the TKT Module 1. So this is a new information. Also, we will mention some short introduction about TKT specialist modules, because we have two kinds of TKT. We have the core modules, which is Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3, and we have other specialist modules. Also, we have the TKT assessment and the band descriptors, also a short introduction to this. And in the end, we will have resources for TKT. So you can, for example, see where can I study for myself for TKT. For the last thing is that we have a session for your questions. So you can put your questions on the chat box. And as for certificates, it will be delivered later after it is prepared. It's just a certificate of attendance. Also, something to mention that our company IELTTA is registered at UK as a company with this number, which is in front of you on the slide. As many of us know that TKT core modules are Module 1, 2, and 3. There is also a practical module which is not known to many of us, in which you have to prepare some lessons, and an assessor must observe your lessons and give you certain feedbacks, which is similar to CELTA and DELTA lessons. But at the level of TKT, it's not the same level of CELTA. CELTA is higher and DELTA is higher. Before we start, we have these questions. Let's check your knowledge about TKT. Let's have the first slide. We have 9 questions. Have a look at the TKT. Question number 1. How many core modules are there? And I think I've mentioned this before. You can write your answer in the chat box. So for example, you can write question 1 and you write the answer in front of it. Question 2, question 3, and we have 16 questions about TKT. Let's check what you know about TKT. I'll give you 3 minutes to do this task. So as I can see from your chats, good job. Any questions? Okay. I can ask anyone who is just having the microphone on. I muted that before, but if your mic is on, just mute it. Still have some sounds coming from somewhere. Also, if you have your mobile, be reminded that your battery is fully charged, because if it reaches 5%, you will be disconnected automatically. And if you are watching us from your laptop, also pay attention to your battery and charging. Okay, so language learning module 1, good. Okay. Another task. We have another 7 questions. Still have someone who's not mute yet. Mute. So I have prepared the mute to mute all the attendees, but maybe you have joined from another link or something. Okay. This is task 2. Still, we have other 7 questions about TKT. Seven, lesson planning is tested in module 2, just right? 8. Good. Okay, so good job. Let's have the answer to this question and check that what you know. Of course, there are 3 modules of the TKT. If you answered all the questions correct, give yourself 100% successful. There are also 2 additional modules, which are, can you give me an idea about the modules or the specialist modules here?
Sorry, it's something. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Walid.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Ahmed. I'm happy to be with you. Okay.
I'm happy to be with everyone, and thanks for everyone who is attending our webinar. It's the first webinar in a series which will continue to help teachers to develop themselves.
Sure. The additional one, I think it has to do with teaching English for geography, for history, for some specific reason, but I can't remember the name of this one. Whether it's
okay.
called.
Okay, I will just follow us, and you will know the answer to this question. So I beg your pardon. I have to mute your.
I'm sorry.
Yes, because you know, sound actually will make a lot of noise. Thank you. The additional modules actually are teaching young learner module. There is a specialist module about teaching young learners, which is very good professional development. Some people like to take a teaching younger learner certificate, but they cannot do this now with the option that Cambridge canceled the CELTA extension of younger learners. And many of the teaching younger learners courses are expensive, and you might have not the good knowledge. With Cambridge, you have international standard of knowledge, and the certificate you get is recognized all over the world. So we have the additional module one, teaching younger learner module, which tests your knowledge about how to teach younger learners. And also there is something called CELTA, which content language learning. It's maybe that you have the CELTA module, but it is not that common. Nobody knows about them. Through my research, I found that they are very helpful. So if you are doing, for example, teaching younger learners module 3 in the Delta, it will be a good start to familiarize yourself with the terminology and the approaches and methods in teaching younger learners before you start preparing yourself for Delta module 3. And there is an option in the Delta called CELTA, which also related to the CELTA module. Question number 3, each module has one exam paper. Paper lasts for 80 minutes. You have 80 questions in the one exam paper, and each paper has 80 questions, and you have 80 minutes, which you should be prepared well before you enter the test, because you will have no time to think if you are not prepared well. Each question is worth the same number of points, right? So you have 80 marks, 80 questions, and 80 minutes. Lesson planning is tested in module 2. Question number 8, background to language learning, is tested in module 1. Classroom management is tested in module 3. Question number 10, which is the one, which of the following is not one of the task types in the TKT? TKT doesn't have true and false questions. Usually we have matching, terminology, blah, blah, blah. How is the TKT graded? We have 4 bands. You succeed if you get band 1. If your level is higher level, you get band 2, higher band 3, and the best option is band 4. And I know some of my colleagues who got band 4 in all 3 modules. For each module, you receive a Cambridge certificate, which looks like the CELTA and the Delta. It's had the same recognition around the world. Yes, Ulvia said that she mentioned the CELTA module. Sorry, Ulvia, I couldn't see your answer on the chat box. It was covered with another box, but that's great. To demonstrate a more than basic knowledge in TKT, be awarded band 4 or 3. So they are divided into basic knowledge and higher knowledge. You need to score at least 45 points out of 80. So the pass is, let's say that it's maybe 40 points out of 80, which is band 1. And the more points you get for each paper, you get a higher band. Can you just, if someone has joined, can you mute your mic, please? Yeah. I was astonished actually by the number of people who registered to the webinar. Thanks for your interest. The certificates arrive from 2 to 3 weeks after you sit for the test. And another piece of information, you can sit for the test at any order you like. So you don't have to start from module 1 and then module 2 or module 3. If you feel yourself confident about module 3, go to module 3. If you feel yourself confident about module 2, go to module 2, etc. And you can also resit for the module. If you don't like your score, you can register again and pay Cambridge, and they welcome you, of course, because no one will refuse money. That's the point 16. You can take each paper as many times as you like, similar to the IELTS in that point. About the cost, Ibrahim, I think in Egypt for one module, it costs you about 750 pounds. In Saudi Arabia, the last thing, correct me if I am wrong, it's about 200 riyals for each module. But you have to register before the module, maybe enough time, like 2 months, etc. You have to find a center, which usually it is a British Council center. But you can go into Cambridge website, and they have a list of the centers which can run or moderate the test. So this is an overview of what can be found in each module of the core, or the 3 core modules. Module 1 is about language and background to language learning and teaching. Timing is 1 hour 20 minutes, and it is 3 parts with 80 objectives questions. That shows the paper has 3 parts, and I will show you also here in this webinar a sample of the exam paper for module 1, 2, and 3 when it comes. The module 2 is about lesson planning and use of resources for language teaching. And it has the same like timing like any other module. Also 2 parts with 80 objective questions, meaning that something that can be corrected in the same way like the IELTS listening and the IELTS reading questions. So you have to have your pencil with you, and you have to shade the answers. Module 3 is focusing on managing the teaching and learning process, and it's about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And also it is 2 parts. So if you look at the differences here, can you have, if you compare the exam papers, so part 1 has 3 parts, while the other modules, module 1 has 3 parts, where the other modules 2 and 3 have 2 parts only. Next, we will have key facts about the test. TKT is designed for native and non-native English teachers because it tests teaching, not the language itself. Unlike the IELTS, which is designed for language learners to measure their abilities or their skills in the language. It aims to increase teachers' confidence and enhance job prospects by focusing on core teaching knowledge for teachers of primary, secondary, or adult learners anywhere in the world. Some schools actually ask their teachers to take the modules in order to increase their salaries or have something like appraisal. Depending on your plan, you could take the TKT exams or tests for refreshing your knowledge or for professional development. Module 1 Now we will look at each module, and also we will have a task for a sample task from each module. For module 1, what does it test? It tests, as you can see from the slide, the language. So you have some questions about the language itself, grammar, lexes or vocab, phonology, functions, the system and the skills of the language. And some background to language learning and teaching. So you might be asked about your situations in the classroom, about the learning process, about motivation, about anything related to language learning and teaching. That's why it has maybe another extra part in the exam paper. In general, it looks at general knowledge of the language, especially the terminology. And terminology is a very important part in TKT. It will help you if you are preparing for the CELTA or any TEFL course, because you will need this terminology. And terminology is very important for any teacher who wants to teach English, because he will understand the subject better. Any questions so far? So we have something about motivation here. We have something about language acquisition, L1 acquisition and L2 acquisition, and background of teaching in the form of your knowledge and of the range of methods. So you have to also be familiar with approaches and methods in English language teaching. And this, it shares a lot of the content found in many TEFL courses like the CELTA and the DELTA, but the difference in the level itself. So if you are doing the CELTA or DELTA, they have a practical component embedded into the theoretical part. Also, module, the TKT, what is the advantage? Its advantage and is that it tests your theoretical knowledge in a practical way, not just memorization or whatever. Next, let's have a look at, so this is module 1 in 3 parts, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 80 questions. Objective tasks means that matching, but maybe if you have 3 questions, you might have 4 options to match to achieve objectivity and to really decrease the chance of guessing. Yeah. Answer format for all parts of this module, candidates indicate their answers by shading the correct answers on their answer sheet. It is the same in that way. It's similar to the IELTS test, listening and reading. Candidates should use an eraser to rub out any answer they wish to change. And each question has only 1 mark. And in order to succeed, of course, at least you have to choose 40 options. This is only will give you band 1 for the test. What does module 1 look at? If you look at this actually infograph or this graph, you will see that TKT core module 1 looks at 3 things. That's why it has 3 parts. Describing language and language skills. In that way, it will look at grammar, lexes, phonology, functions, receptive skills, and protective skills. This is actually the same content like any TEFL course. And so you have the system and the skills of the language. The second part is background to language learning and looks at motivation, exposure to language, and face-on-face form. The role of error, the differences between L1 and L2 learning and acquisition, of course. So you have to read more and research about these. Also, it looks at learner characteristics and learner needs. And all of these are at a foundation level, which will help you if you are preparing for the CELTA or any TEFL course or the DELTA itself. Background to language teaching. So you have presentation techniques like BBP. Do you have an idea about presentation techniques and approaches to language teaching? BBP, TBL, TTT, but not TTT as a teacher talking. Does anybody have an idea about TTT as a teaching approach? So, it is not teacher talking time. That's right, Mahmoud Sukkari, very, very good. It's teach, teach, task. It's not exactly, it's like you are about to answer it. Yeah, teach, Sarah, well done, Sarah. Test, teach, test, yeah. Yeah, so you have, for example, you want to know that your learners are familiar with a certain grammar point, you could test them first and then teach them the grammar rule and retest, do another test and see if your teaching has done any effect to their learning. It's like a diagnostic way of teaching. Also, it looks at types of activities and tasks for language and skills development. And the last thing is assessment and assessment types and tasks, which also related to DELTA Module 1. Terminology. As an English language teacher, why do you need terminology? Why do we need terminology? Do you have any ideas? Yeah. Terminology are very important for the test and are very important for you later if you join another TEFL course. And in practice, you need the terminology to be confident when you are a teacher or you are teaching any topic in the language. Some of this terminology might include like parts of speech, terminology in what area? In all the areas of the language. And this kind of terminology will be needed later, especially in DELTA Module 1. Paper 1, task 1 and 2 are actually based on that kind of terminology. Although this will not account for maybe 12 marks, 6 marks for task 1, 6 marks for task 2. But if you are familiar with the terminology from now, it will be helpful later when you prepare for DELTA Module 1 exam. And another way you need terminology for is to explain language to our students. The teacher should not only be able to identify how these words and phrases function as a sentence,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry for the inconvenience. So let's continue our talk again. Could you please just, if you mute your microphone? It always happens if some technical problems, maybe your internet connection went slow or something. Okay, so returning back to the terminology again. Can you see my screen? Type yes. Okay, so let's continue. About the words, for example, these are some terminology that we know about words. So if you are teaching words, you have to put into your consideration about what is related to teaching one word. This will, of course, help you in your teaching and understanding of the language and how it works, and will improve your learners and help you to plan their learning to a higher level. Another task from the grammar, for example, if you look at this example, so when a student, for example, is teaching how to write, it is better for him to be familiarized with this terminology. What about the teacher? Adjective, article, determiner, etc. So in order to explain language to our students, teachers should not only be able to identify how these words and phrases function in a sentence, but also able to categorize them into recognizable parts of speech, such as noun, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions. Asking students to categorize words by parts of speech can be a useful method for improving their grammar, vocabulary. And this example in front of you gives you an idea about how a sentence works. In addition to parts of speech, also can have several subcategories which describe specific functions. The thing is that what we're talking about here could be part of the TKT test in the paper 1. So look at this example, for example. Which part of a speech is each word in italics, the red one? And look at the options here. The boy didn't want to share his books. What about the word his? Write your answer. In the chat box. Is it A, B, C, D, or E? And question 2, those girls are in my class. Possessive adjective. Very good, Sarah. Good, Mahmoud. Sir Mahmoud, and the other one. Okay, correct. You are very good and very excellent and intelligent teachers. Also, Cambridge has issued a booklet which contains all the TKT glossary, which is very useful. You can find it on the Cambridge website, and it has like a manual of all the terminology expected in the test, so you can familiarize yourself with the definitions and terms. What is different here is that in Delta Module 1, it is not just about knowing the definition, but you have to also to know how to show one example of each definition in a sentence in the exam for paper 1. One way of testing your terminology is to go to this website. I will copy the link to you in the chat box. You can go to it later about our webinar today, or the recording might be available also for sound for sharing later. Quizlet is a good website for practicing terminology. It is good for TKT and Delta Module 1 paper 1. But for Delta Module 1, you have to make your search, right, about Delta Module 1 flashcards, where you can find the term and its definition. For TKT, you have to focus on TKT only. But still, they share a lot of the features. Example of TKT task from Module 1 test. You can find it here in Quizlet also. The glossary also in on Quizlet. Now let's talk practical. Let's have a look at one sample from the exam paper. For Module 1, this is a sample of a Module 1 test. So it looks like this. You have the instruction similar to the IELTS Cambridge. It's similar to Delta Module 1 exam paper in the first 2 pages, but not in the content inside, of course. For example, this task, you have 6 questions and you have a text like this, and you have to look at the words from the context and describe the words. You have to match. And if you look at the number of the questions, 6 questions, but the number of the options is not 6, of course. So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is an extra option when you are doing a matching task, right? I will give you time to look at this task, right? Here is the task in front of you. I give you the answer first. No. There is a typical task here. You can screenshot the task, right? And you have here these options, the language terms. The language terms. Like word with affix. What is an affix? Can you write an answer in the box? What an affix is? Is it a prefix or a suffix or both of them? Idiom, compound adjective, connector, phrasal verb, compound noun, and word family. And here is the text itself. So you have the first one. That's right. Also, you have the task in front of you. Take just 2 minutes, look at the task, okay? And try to know the options. So we have old-fashioned, a suit, a tie, and leather shoes. Gets on my nerves, worthless, calls, bus stop. And the option here is the options word with a fixed, idiom, compound, adjective, connector, blah, blah, blah. And the answer is old-fashioned, for example. What is it? From A, B, C, D to G. Is it a compound noun or a compound adjective? That's right, compound adjective. The second one is a suit, a tie, and leather shoes. Suit, tie, leather shoes. Yeah, but I think we don't have a lexical set here in the option. Maybe it's related to word family. The word family is the same like lexical set. But you have to choose what is written in the test paper. Gets on my nerves. Yeah, it's an idiom. Worthless. Less, you have less here. So it's pretty clear that it is word with an affix. Calls in. Phrasal verb, that's right, excellent. Bus stop. Compound noun. And these are the answers. So in the test, you just have to write the letter. You are not going to write the full answer. So just shade, you have, for example, because we have G options here, so you might question number one, I will show you how the word, how the answer sheet is like in another slide. So for example, 1C, 2G, 3B, etc. Let's now have a look at module 2. It's the same, but 2 parts only, not 3 parts like module 1. 1 hour and 20 minutes, 80 questions, objective questions with options matching, no correct or false. Okay, you have also odd one out. The answer format is the same, nothing is different. Let's have a look at an overview of module 2, tests 2 parts. Teachers and learners language in the classroom and classroom managed language appropriately for a range of classroom functions, sequencing of instructions, identifying functions of learners language, categorizing learners mistakes, and sorry, that was 3 or 2. This is 3. 2, sorry for that. 2 is here. Yeah, sorry. This module 2 is looking at, again, it looks at lesson planning and preparing a lesson for a sequence of lessons. So it looks at 2 parts, and selection and use of resources. Planning and preparing is a good part of CELTA and DELTA, of course, and any TEFL course. So if you have an idea about this before you join, it will be a good foundation for you. So you identify and select aims appropriately to learners, the stage of learners, and lesson types. And I remember when I taught the CELTA, actually, I suffered a lot because I didn't have this enough knowledge. And I wish I had components of a lesson plan, and it is a little bit similar to the CELTA. It's not detailed, but similar, and even the DELTA, it's more in depth. and more, but TKT will give you some foundation about Cambridge criteria for lesson planning. Also, we have planning individual lessons or a sequence of lessons by choosing and sequencing activities. So you know how to choose activities appropriate to learners and aims. And the last thing is how to choose assessment activities. For example, there are two kinds of non-assessment, like formative or summative assessment. And this terminology you will be familiar with in Module 2. This part also are shared in the DELTA. Let's say if there is a part or a task in the DELTA Module 1 paper about maybe paper 2 about terminology of testing and how to evaluate the testing system. Selection and use of resources. Also, this part is important because in the CELTA or the DELTA, you must have an idea about how to choose and plan your lessons, not just depending on the course box, because with the over depending on the course box has caused teachers to lose their creativity in the classroom. Here is a task from Module 2, and let's have a look at Module 2 paper. It's the same as in the start, same way. You have, but terminology is related to lesson planning here, lesson aims, anticipated problems. Something you can find, anticipated problems is a term which was found in the CELTA lesson plan and most DELTA or CELTA or Cambridge courses. Procedure and interaction, aids and resources, personal aims of a teacher. And here you have stages of a lesson being tested here. You have matching for practical parts of a lesson, and you have to match them to the terminology or the description of the stages. You have other tasks here in Module 2 paper. And you have to find the rationale for the teacher why is doing that. Something that, like, if I were in that teacher's shoes, how would I do, or why I'm doing that? Okay, returning to the slide. Here is, for example, you have this option A, B, C, developing pronunciation skills, B, developing reading skills, C, developing vocabulary. And you have these 6 options. So it means that you have to match textbook rubrics, so you have to match. For example, what if the rubric of the textbook says choose the best summary of each paragraph? Is it related to A, pronunciation skills, reading skills, vocabulary skills? Any answers? So the question is that the rubric of a textbook, this is like a resource. So we're looking at resources here, testing you and resources. For example, if the question says, choose the best summary of each paragraph, what is it doing? What is it, how it is related to the lesson aims? Is it to develop their vocabulary or reading skills? That's right, it's reading skills, and so on. So in this, but remember that we have only here three options to describe the rubric, but we have 6. So when you're matching, right, you have to do like this. For example, 1 goes with B. So look at number 1, B, which is reading skills. Number 2 with A, listen and group, blah, 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 and so on. So this is another type of matching. If you look at the questions here, the answers, so you have 1B and the 4 also B. If you look at 4, indicate on the map the way that Kate went according to the information given. So this is related to which part? Related to developing reading skill, for example. Now let's go to module 3. And in the same way, module 3, timing is the same. The task types also the same, matching options, 3 option, multiple choice, and odd one out. The answer is the same. Everything is the same, except that you have only 2 parts. Because module 3 tests these things. 2 parts here, teachers and learners language in the classroom and the classroom management. And this first part, you look at using the language appropriately for the range of classroom functions, sequencing language of instructions, degrading your language, for example, for a group of learners. The learners level is weak, so you have to choose the best way of instructing them and using, for example, ICQs. It's identifying functions of language, of learners' language, categorizing learners' mistakes. So it's more focused on what happens inside the classroom and classroom management, teacher's role, grouping learners. It looks about the procedure you are running your class, and how the last thing is giving feedback. Hello, Mr. Zaytoun, welcome to the webinar. If you look at the task from module 3, this is an exam paper from module 3, the same way, same feature, but look at the tasks here. It looks at the purposes of what happens in the class, teacher's classroom language. So the focus in the language the teacher uses in his class. It's a person who checks your ticket on the train. Does anyone know the name of this job? So if you look at the options here, what is he doing? What's the teacher's doing, for example? Here is a task, but this time I'll give you time to have a look at it. And I give you 2 minutes to think of the answers, and you can write your answers in the answer books. Here are the options, and you have here the teacher's classroom language. Let's look at the teacher's classroom language first. You have 8 options, or 8 questions, and you have how many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, the same criteria. 1 option, 1 extra option to check and to achieve objectivity of the question. Thanks, Mr. Ahmed. Oh, this is module 3 task. There is no time, of course, to give you all the tests here in that one session, but just I'm giving you samples in order to know how it works and to know that the value of TKT for anyone who wants to continue his professional development, to refresh his knowledge. I'm actually refreshing my knowledge now, although I finished Delta Module 1 and 2 and working in Module 3. And also the terminology is important. You might use the terminology for Module 3. Knowledge is important. Here is the answer to the questions. For example, 1 is related to B. If you look at 1 here, eliciting. The teacher, the purpose of this language, the language that the teacher is using is eliciting. For giving feedback, let's check. Good, Mark. You use the new vocabulary very well. Yes, yes. It's clear from this. So if just you clear, this is like discourse from what happens in the classroom. Samples taken from the teacher talk in the class and you are asked to recognize why this is happening. 7 is a mingle. Sit, stand up, and ask your question. Yes, that's right, mingle activity. So when you are preparing for the TKT, you need to know what is a mingle activity. What is the definition of a mingle activity is. I remember when we started our CELTA course the first time in 2014 in Riyadh, British Council. The first thing that was done was a mingle, find someone who activity. Let's now look at how they are similar to the IELTS. So you write your details by shading. Okay. Answer paper. Here is the answer paper. You have to also to listen to the instructor or the invigilator instruction in the test. And here you have to shade. For example, if you choose for question 1, option B, you have to shade it. Use a pencil only for this option. Again, why is TKT is important? Why TKT is important? Can you just give me some of your thoughts? Can you think about, I don't know if Zoom has the option of think, bear, and share. I could have created groups here, but I don't know if it has the option. Maybe Adobe Connect has. Okay. Can you type any ideas? Why TKT is important for teachers? Yeah, it measures your knowledge, about language. It is actually also a good foundation for anyone who wants to start his professional development. Yes, right? Aisha. To prepare for CELTA and DELTA. Well done. To check your understanding of any teacher. Basic foundation to check understanding of the teaching basics. That's right. And of course, don't forget that you're gonna get a certificate, which can be bought into your CV, and it is like it is a Cambridge certificate, similar to the CELTA and DELTA, recognized anywhere in the world. So these are some of the things I can share with you. Planning to take the CELTA, you need it. Planning to take any TEFL course, it would be a good foundation. You want to take the DELTA, you will go back to the terminology and other testing terminology and language terminology. But in the DELTA, it looks in depth at everything. Other courses like TEFL, TESOL, BCELT B, or CELTA-S, ICELT, ATC. You can just take, if you are just taking the course, TKT, it's a good course for you to refresh your knowledge, right? Even if you are not willing to take the TKT, you can just study the course itself. It will be helpful for you. Now let's look at the CELTA and TKT. Some of the points here that I want to share with you. Look at the syllabus content of the CELTA. It's based around TKT, and both of them follow the Cambridge standards. You agree on this or that? Not. Yeah. You agree on the first point? It's a syllabus. The syllabus content is based around the CELTA. What does the CELTA do? It's the same like lesson planning and language, but it's more practical. Agree? Good. Number 2, TKT can help you if you are answering the CELTA pre-interview task. Agree or not agree? Yeah, that's right. 3, people may take the TKT before the CELTA as a pre-CELTA course, it will be a good foundation. Point 3, do you agree, all of you? You can take the CELTA at the TKT at any stage of your professional development as a refresher course. Huh? Agree? I agree. I myself agree with that because I'm refreshing my knowledge now.
Right.
Many schools might ask you, their teachers, to take and take the TKT and link this to their annual appraisal. If you have gone through this experience, you can. I remember one of our colleagues took the TKT in order to have an increase in his salary in one of the schools in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, and maybe in many parts of the world. Rida is raising his hand. Rida, Fauzi, okay, if you have any questions. Okay. Now let's go to another thing, which is DELTA and TKT. As we might know, DELTA is a level 7 diploma. It's higher than the CELTA. And so one of the things that you might need from the TKT for your DELTA is a terminology. You could have a look at also Quizlet here to see how the terminology is done for module 1 and see if there is any similarities. Here are task 1 and task 2, task 1, 2, and for the DELTA. The definitions are needed in DELTA module 1 test, terminology again, but you need to give the differences that in some tasks you need to give some examples. I sent the link, Mr. Ahmed Rida. You could just go to the chat box. Definition is given and you provide terminology. This is one thing of the DELTA module 1 paper. Sometimes gives you the definition and you need the terminology. Other times you are giving the terminology, but you need the definition. But because the DELTA is higher level, so you need to give examples. Testing terminology helps in analyzing tasks related to DELTA module 1 paper 2. There is a task about testing. Task 1 and 2 in the DELTA module 1 paper 1, task 1 and 2. What you need actually, and you can link this to studying something from TKT. You need to know about your teaching terminology. But in the DELTA, not just some terminology, maybe everything in the field needed for the DELTA. That first task in DELTA module 1, paper 1 gives you like 6 definitions for which you have to provide the term. So you are giving the definition, and you need the term. The second will give you 4 more terms for which you have to provide a definition and an example. For example, if I talk about minimal pairs, what are minimal pairs? So you write the definition, for example. And furthermore, you must provide an example of minimal pairs, for example, back and pack, thin and thin. This is a great opportunity to score some quick fire points, however. Either way, these 2 tasks actually account for only 9% of DELTA module 1. So it's a good opportunity if you want to prepare for task 1 and task 2 to have a look at TKT preparation. This is if you look here, this is a typical task 1 module 1 delta, right? And look at the here. It asks 2 minutes to look at this and to think about the definition. Write the answers like A, I'll answer number F. It's the positive or negative impact of a test on classroom teaching. What is it? Do you have any idea about this? For example, number 1, I would say wash back. And it is a testing terminology, right? Can you write the answers? I give you 2 minutes. Can you write the answers to the rest of these to have an idea about how Delta Module 1, Paper 1, Task 1 works? Share your answers in the chat box. Any ideas? I have to. Any answers? Not yet? Can you see the slide? Yes or no? Oh, here it is. Yes, Sarah, that's right. This is Delta, yeah. But look at this. So you need to have a foundation for this. If you are planning your professional development in the future, this is how it works. And look at the similarity is using terminology, but at a higher, like the foundation, start from TKT. Until I ace it, then I go to the next level, which is CELTA, and then the Delta, etc. You might jump or skip the CELTA and go to the Delta if your level helps, of course. But this is how Cambridge works. Okay. For example, the replacing of a noun phrase or a clause by a single word in order to avoid repetition or to make a text more cohesive. I guess it is, can anybody have an idea about number B? I guess we have to give you the answers because it is Delta Module 1. Here is the answer. It is anaphoric reference. An example of anaphoric reference is the using of, for example, Ahmed is a good teacher, he. So using he is something called anaphoric reference. Collocation, I think some terms you might be familiar with, but the Delta is a higher level. So you have to study text analysis, discourse analysis, linguistics, and other stuff. Order of acquisition, here is something related to language acquisition. If you look at this, it's related to TKT, right? Word family, you remember, here is just one point which is easier and related to task 1 from TKT paper module 1. Here it is. It's F, word family. A process through which an error what is it? Maybe it's not. Okay. No, this is task 2. Sorry for that. Task 2, you have to mention, give a definition for these terminology. You have to write the answer in your booklet. Here, you don't choose the answer. You have to write the answers. And the thing is that if you are ready, the moment you have your pencil or pen, you write with your pen, to the last minute of the test, you will not be able to stop if you are ready. Because, for example, adjacency pairs, something related to conversation analysis, anaphoric reference, collocation, order of acquisition, structure, word family. So word family, you can get the terminology of this. If you check Cambridge Glossary for TKT, you can find the definition for these, but also you need to give example. Let's go jump to another point, which is TKT specialist module, and I mentioned something about this at the beginning. You have 2 modules here, extra modules, which are the TKT CLEL. What is the TKT CLEL? Here is a description, a short description here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but it's just content and language integrated learning. That's the acronym for this. Content. This module tests knowledge of the MA, the aims and rationale of a CLEL approach, covers the planning, teaching, assessment of CLEL. It also focuses on teachers' awareness of learning. Also, it focuses on demands and support strategies for learners in a CLEL program. A CLEL program is something like when students are studying English for math test or for where the language is integrated into other courses. So it's suitable for anyone who wants to do module 3 for CLEL, or anyone who wants to enhance his knowledge about CLEL. The other option is TKT for young learners, and you get a certificate for teaching young learners from the TKT for doing the test, and which is recognizable all over the world. And the thing is that, as I mentioned before, that CELTA has canceled their TKT, their CELTA Young Learner option. So this is another option for teachers who want to enhance their knowledge in teaching young learners and have a certificate which can be put into your CV if you want to go to this field, or for teachers who are preparing for DELTA Module 3 in the Young Learner option. How to register for TKT? Here are some options from Cambridge website. You can enter the module and register at one of the approved centers. And here you can go to Cambridge website and check the approved centers on the website itself. Not any center can run the exam, only approved centers by Cambridge. However, about preparation, anyone can prepare you for the test, or it can be taken as self-study. You can take the KT whenever your background in teaching or experience, which is a good thing, whether you are at a novice teacher or a very experienced teacher. I have seen from the people who are registered here that their interest is starting from the age of 21 to up to 64 years old teachers who are interested in this, which is very, very good. And here, TKT is suitable for everyone to refresh as a refresher course and as something that can develop you professionally. For a pre-service or a practicing teacher, for teaching at primary or secondary or adult learners, a non-first English teacher or a first language native or non-native alike, anyone who wants to gain formal recognition. So if I have the knowledge and I don't want to take a TEFL or CELTA right now, and I want to You mean I want to authenticate this knowledge and get recognition. I can do the test. Oh, I have this knowledge. This is my level. I show this to my employers when I apply for any interview. Keep your teaching skills up to date and develop your career opportunities. And this is a very important part, especially for novice teacher. The thing is that when we were novice teacher, we didn't find anyone to guide us. And now for novice teacher, it is important to start your professional development early. Don't wait until you are old. You can plan your professional development according to your time and budget and the options available to you. You should also know that for the TKT, at least your CEFL level must be B1 or above. And we are about to come to the end. Here are some resources. The first thing to consult here is to go to Cambridge website to get the exact knowledge about the test. Here is the Cambridge website for TKT, and preparation according to Cambridge. Cambridge have some guidelines to know how to prepare for the test. Okay. I have put this into the chat box. Also, I have a good resource for you. It's a gift for you. It's the Cambridge official TKT course, which is used for preparation. It contains a lot of tasks and covers a lot of the whole course of the whole syllabus of TKT. It is here. It is called the TKT course, and it is issued by which is official. The author is Maurice Pratt and others. Here you have the content. I will share the link with you, so it will be available to you right now. You can download it. It's a gift from me to you. This is the first source to prepare yourself for the core module. There is another one for CELTA, which is issued by Cambridge. You can check this in Cambridge website. Thanks, Mustafa. And now we come to this part. We are coming to the end of this session. Kindly give us, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Give us your feedback and questions now. I will wait for your question for 2 minutes. Write your questions in the chat box. And as much as I know, I will answer you. If you have any questions. If you want any clarification about our agenda. Also, we are planning with me and with our colleagues in the academy to run some preparation courses for TKT and DELTA Module 1, and we might have our first TEFL or TESOL course. It will be in the same way right now online. We're using Zoom. You will have a special tutor with you, giving you the guidance. I will announce about this later. You might have a package courses like TKT plus TEFL or TESOL, which will be a good option. Plus IELTS preparation, it will become a package course for teacher development. So you can take the TEFL or TESOL with us, and we'll provide you with a certificate. We will find a recognized certificate for that. Also, the recording, okay, I will check that it is recorded. I asked Zoom to record it. I hope that it is recorded on the cloud. It will appear after I finish the recording. And then I will email you using my email with the things and resources and the recording. Another thing is that we have an option of a DELTA Module 1 preparation with one of our tutors. He just started the course. He's available in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Mr. Hani Hussein is preparing DELTA. He is actually a DELTA certified tutor, and he can prepare you for the DELTA. He's now running a course. So if you are interested, email me and I can guide you to him. He will also be formal, so you prepare yourself for a pre-interview task to know your level if you are ready for the module 1. Also, you can take a face-to-face course. And at the end, I want you to go to Google Forms. I have prepared like a feedback about the session, so you can register your feedback about this session. We are planning to have manual a monthly session like this. If you are interested in any topics, just go to this form and register. Us your feedback about the session. What did you find good? What did you find not good? It's free. You are free to give us your feedback. Because we want to improve. We are a group of teacher trainers who are at the start of their teacher training career. We want to improve and want to help others to improve. Mr. Mahmoud said that he wants to have some plan for preparing for the IELTS. Okay, Mr. Mahmoud, I will be in contact with my experience regarding this. I done the IELTS maybe many times because I need it for my job, and the last time I get 7.5, right? In some places, actually, if you are an English language teacher, they need you to achieve 7, others 7.5, and others 7, 8, like the British Council. But it depends on the employer. Monthly sessions, yes, Sarah, and it will depend on availability and preparation. It will be also free. Any webinars will be free in order to achieve improvement and achieve experience in training for anyone who's interested. Also, if you want to share your thinking and your knowledge and your ideas, and you have a proposal for something like this, you are welcome. If you are interested in any topic, you just send us in the form which I shared with you. I will send an email to all the participants with the resources and with the form to give your feedback and to give us your thought, so that we can improve for the coming webinar. And thank you very much. Thank you for your interest. Thanks for the time you give to us. And I hope you have enjoyed the session. And I hope that next time we have better performance. Thanks everyone for attending and giving us the time. Thanks a bunch. Thanks very much. It was perfect. Thank you, Evelia. Thanks a lot. But before I go and say goodbye, and we don't say goodbye, but I say until we meet again, I hope you have enjoyed this session. If you have any questions, you can go to our page, right? Which is on the Facebook here. You can message it, or you can message me on my Facebook account, or you can send me an email, right? Here is our page. Also, you can, if you look at the net began to. Okay, so go to our page. It's face.com/IELTTA. It's International English Language Teacher Training Academy. And the internet is beginning to be slow, so that's why it's not. Also, I need your feedback about the session. So if you go to Google Forms and give us your feedback, if you are interested in anything here that we can help with, register your interest and we will be in touch with you. And kindly bear with us because most of us are also working teachers. So we will try to, this is our page, right? Thank you very much and I wish you all the best. See you. Yes, actually, the session actually I tried to make all the session. I was planning to make like one session as an introductory for the TKT. So I put some of the things for in it, like grammar and vocabulary and so on. If you want more sessions, just give us your suggestions. Continuous sessions, actually, it depends. Actually, if you want to have a course, we can plan for continuous sessions. I will consult our colleagues to see if they are ready to run. But anyway, it's in the plan. We will have a course for TKT and the course for TEFL or TESOL. It's about to be launched soon. Also, what is ready now is Delta Module 1. One of our colleagues is having a Delta Module 1 online course for those who are preparing for their exams next June. So I'm about to say, see you. Okay. In case you want to be updated with our sessions, will be another sessions for professional development. It might not be TKT in particular, but we will update you. We are planning to have like monthly webinar like this. Maybe next time we could talk about how to prepare for the CELTA or how to prepare for the DELTA, or maybe how to prepare for the IELTS. The IELTS actually is needed all over the world. As an English language teacher, you need the IELTS because it's an alternative for being, a bilingual teacher. In some places, they need bilingual teachers to have the IELTS option. If you want to join the British Council, sometimes they need IELTS 8 plus the CELTA. So we want to spread the good knowledge for teachers. We want to guide the teacher to help them. And also we will have some business, which we will provide teachers with courses which at reasonable prices. Okay, thank you. And I wish you all the best.